Hi, I'm Leah, this is Poppy, and we recently moved to Australia from Europe, from Switzerland. And today I'm going to tell you about our journey and the process involved of exporting your dog from a category 3 country to Australia. So you have to start by looking up where you get all your official information from, which is at the agriculture.gov.au. It's the official website of the government of Australia. You will find the most recent updated information there. So in case something is not clear, go to the website first. Do not trust the videos or anything you read on the internet, just whatever you find on this website. There is a step-by-step guide. It always depends where you export it from. You have a list of different countries, and there you see what group they belong to, and therefore you have a different kind of checklist. So make sure you first start where are you coming from. Switzerland, where we come from, is a group 3 country. Therefore we were following the step-by-step guide from group 3. From the beginning, it's very important for you to know that you calculate at least 6 months for the full process. So make sure before you plan anything further that you know it's going to take you at least 6 months to fulfill every requirement that they have. Also, something that I underestimated, it will be expensive. So make sure to maybe check some prices beforehand, check with your vet. I was super overwhelmed when I started this process, so with this video I'm just trying to make it a bit easier for you in case you look at this checklist and you're like, oh my god, how will I do this? You can do it. Believe me, I was so overwhelmed most of the time, but it's going to be alright. Number 1 on the checklist is to find a pet transport agent. I did this a bit later in the process, but you can already do it from the beginning. It doesn't really matter. I will just tell you how I did it. So first I checked the import conditions, which is step number 2. It means that, is your breed allowed to be exported? Is your country a country where you can export it from? Is your dog maybe a bit too old for travel? They're just things that you should think about before you start the export process. You have to be aware that your dog has to go into quarantine on arrival in Australia. Honestly, Poppy is very clingy and I was really worried, but she did fine. After finding out where to get my information, I went on to go find my contacts. You will find a lot of different authorities in the whole step-by-step guide, and my recommendation to you is to get the information straight before you even start. Who is your official government veterinarian? Who is your government approved veterinarian? So make sure you make a list of contacts, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, so you already have it already, and wherever you are in your step-by-step guide, you know who to contact in case you have questions. The first thing you want to do when you start your export process is to verify your dog's microchip and identity. When I started this process, it was an optional step. I don't know if it still is, because it seems like they updated and it's now mandatory. It will save you 20 days of quarantine, which means that your pet only has to go for 10 days into quarantine, which is a huge difference to 30 days. All that needs to be done is that you go to your government approved veterinarian and they just scan the microchip and they fill out the form, and that's it. Also make sure that your dog has a passport. What I did is that I put the cards of my veterinarians into the front of this passport, so I always have them with me. I always have everything in one kind of package. Then comes the most important step in the process, which is the rabies vaccination and testing. If your dog's already had a rabies vaccination, it's just the testing parts. If he didn't, he still has to do it and then get the test done. For Poppy, we had the situation that she did already have the rabies vaccination, but we were not sure if the titer would show up in the range that it has to be for export. So we kind of took the blood sample and gave a vaccination at the same time. First we took the blood for sending it to the lab, and then we gave another shot. So in case the titer came back too low, we don't have to repeat the process with vaccinating and waiting. So basically we will save a few days in between. As soon as the blood is sampled and sent into the laboratory. From the point it arrives in the laboratory, it is 180 days until your dog can be exported. And these 180 days were long. As a little bonus tip, from the point of blood taking for the rabies test, make sure to always, whenever you have a vet visit or something, take a picture of a new entry and save it. So you are kind of always up to date on everything that is happening in the passport of your pet, and it will also make the full process of export much easier in the following months. Remember when I said that the first step is to find a pet transport agent? I did this after verifying my dog's microchip and identity, which is, it's not a bad thing because you have enough time. I did find it a bit difficult to find a transport agent. Looking back, I could have made it very easy by just Googling transport agent or export dog to Australia, flight company, whatever. I called the airport, I called the airline. They gave me different numbers. I called so many people. At the end of the day, I just landed at movinganimals.com. They fly also from Zurich. They are super nice. Like, I can only say positive things about the whole experience that I had with them. Therefore, I would highly recommend, if you live in a country where they have movinganimals.com, go for them. As soon as you get in touch with them, you can get a quotation. You will have to fill out a lot of things like your dog's measurements, so you can get a box. Then from where to where you're gonna fly, approximately when. This you can just roughly calculate. How old your pet is, all these things. They will then send you a quotation via email. They have more options than just the flight. You can also book additional things like check of the documents or the last vet visit, for example, or a pickup of your dog from your home before the flight. These are all optional steps that you don't have to decide right away. You can just ask if you can also decide this a bit later in the process in case it's too expensive or you're not sure yet. I, for example, did not book anything in addition to their basic service that needs to be booked. But I did ask if I could also come back to this offer at a later point in time, and they said yes, of course, as long as it's not just like a day before. As soon as you get your rabies results back, it is time for the application of the permit. This for me was the hardest part because I just could not find the information anywhere. I found the process very complicated with the information I was given from the website. It really took me quite some time to figure out where I have to go, where I have to apply. Just some information for the application of the permit. You will need an address in Australia. This cannot be a PO address. Just make sure you know someone or you can get in touch with someone who can provide you with an address. I was able to get a friend that lives in Australia's address. They did not receive any letters. I found it very helpful to get in touch with the flight company because I had some questions and they were able to help me with some things I wasn't sure of or I needed more details on. As soon as you applied for your permit, it is waiting time, and it's a long waiting time. We waited in total 10 weeks. I was getting more nervous by the day if this permit comes or if it doesn't come, and I wrote emails and I never received any reply. Don't worry, it's normal to take up to 10 weeks. There are many things that can be done in these 10 weeks though. You don't have to think about vet appointments or anything yet, and you don't have to plan the last few appointments because you will also get a bit more information on that from your flight company. These 10 weeks you can use with your dog to prepare for the journey. What we did is we got our box from the flight company themselves. We went there with Poppy, we made a full day trip out of it. We collected the box, we got to know the people that work there. We walked around at the airport so Poppy can already hear the noises, she can smell a bit of the plane smells. This gave us a lot of confidence because we saw the people that we were constantly writing emails with. We saw how nice they are with Poppy. At home we built the box already so she can access it at any time. We put a lot of treats in, we did a lot of box training with her, like letting her sleep in the box. If you have a dog trainer, you can for sure get tips on that too. Prepare your pet as much as you can because it is a stressful journey. And I think for me mentally, it was also really good to know that I did everything I could to prepare her. As soon as you have your permit, which at some point will arrive, you can book your post-entry quarantine. Like you will need your permit, then some pages of the passport, and you also have access to it at any point in time. So you can also add documents in case you want to. There's also, you need to book like a date on when the animal will arrive. You can already check this with your travel agency to see if they already have a date in mind. Your flight agency will also tell you as soon as they have the fixed information. So you don't need to worry about having everything set as soon as you get the permit. It's okay if this takes a bit longer. You have the time still to prepare everything. 30 days before export, you will have to do the last vet visits and tests and vaccinations and everything that is left over. Here comes in handy to always take pictures of new entries from your vet and everything, so you can already send to the flight company. So in case something is not okay, they can interfere as soon as they see it. So you don't have to be worried of doing something wrong or something is insufficient. So always stay on top of new information that you receive. My flight company sent me a very detailed plan already with like dates that you have to follow, which is usually you have like 2 dates making a vet appointment there. What I did, I went with this plan to my vet and showed them the plan, and we set already appointments for each and every one of them so that there was nothing that could be missed. Then you basically just follow your appointments from your flight company, like your plan for the vet. This part I thought would be the most stressful one because there is exact times and days that you have to go. Honestly, it was a bit of the easiest one because it's very scheduled and there is no unexpected waiting times anymore. In the last 5 days before export, you need to go to the vet for the last internal parasite treatment and external parasite treatment, and they will have to fill out the health certificate. The health certificate is a very big thing. This is also one of these documents that your flight company will provide you with, that they pre-fill everything so you really can just print it. It is good to prepare yourself beforehand, you know, to really read through it already and just know what needs to be filled out. You need to then get all the documents approved by the official government vet. Again, the flight company gives you a full list of what needs to be approved and what needs to be stamped and where it needs to be stamped, because there's also specific places on the page, and that's it. So preparation is really key. So yeah, and then there's travel day. To be honest, I think I was not nervous anymore when the time of travel came, because I was already nervous for months beforehand. And then I don't know, I feel like sometimes in situations of stress you just function all of a sudden. So we went to Zurich, we put Poppy in the box there. We got to meet again the lovely people of Moving Animals. They had also instructed us on how to prepare Poppy for the flight itself. The dog is not allowed to have any medication beforehand to make it calmer. It's the best if you're also calm. Your dog will not have a collar on the flight itself. Of course, you go there with a collar and a leash. Don't take the most expensive ones because they said they cannot guarantee that you get it back. Your dog cannot have any clothing. We were actually allowed to give her like 2 blankets with her in the crate and like one of those pillows with like, you know, like a lid. She was not allowed to eat before the flight, so she would go on the stomach as empty as possible to reduce the risk of her having to poop in the crate or anything. So we arrived, we handed over Poppy and we just left. We did not make a big deal out of it at all. We really just, I put her in the crate, closed the door, I left, and that's it. No goodbyes, no tears, no crazy movements or anything. We just left, and I think this was the best for her and for me. So this was weird, didn't like it at all. Like, I know I seem like everything's fine, and I was very confident that everything would be fine, and everything was fine, but it was still not a great moment. And the time that followed was also not great. Yeah, from then on I was kind of waiting for updates from the flight company. Poppy's journey was as followed. She flew in the morning to Doha. There she had a 21 hours layover, which is normal because they have to check the documents properly, they have to clean the box, they walk with the dogs. Then she flew from Doha to Melbourne. All the dogs will be exported to Melbourne, where they go into the post-quarantine facility. I got updates in Doha and when she arrived, just like a quick check in that she is fine. There was always a small picture. Then she arrived in quarantine, and I just got a confirmation after the first 24 hours that she was fine, how she was behaving, how she was eating. And then it was time for the pickup. You have to book an appointment, but there you will be walked through by the post-quarantine facility. They will tell you exactly how to do it and where to go and when you can come. As a quick disclaimer, you're not allowed to film on the facility, so you can go there, you pick up your dog will come in the crate to your car. They did open the crate and Poppy was super confused. She did lose weight, which I think it was 200 grams, which sounds like very little, but for an Italian greyhound or the greyhounds in general, it feels like a lot. And I was a bit shocked because she did look really skinny. And then as soon as you have your dog back, yeah, everything is going back to normal. I also need to say I underestimated a bit the time that it took for Poppy to properly arrive here. She did develop a few abandonment issues in the beginning when we came back, which she did not have before. I left her alone on day 2 and 3 for 5 minutes, and I came back into the hallway and she was howling. Today marks 16 days since she came back from quarantine, and everything is fine. As soon as you have your dog back home, don't forget to do a registration. You will receive an email with instructions. I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope this helps you a bit. Again, I put every link in the description. Any further questions, just leave a comment. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck for your relocation. Oh yeah, and by the way, welcome to Australia. It's really cool. Bye.